and welcome back. This is Tyro VA broadcasting live from the vaults and our stars, and we have just finished completing Knack, the game. Such a short title is like you have to then subtitle it, the game. Here it is, the cover of it. We are doing a review of it. You are this little guy here, and you gather all these blocks and become this guy that is just kind of a small mechanics of the game. Extra content, new game, continue. Wonder what the continuation will be. Oh good, this is just the beginning of the game. So, no spoilers, but we are going to do a review. I have recently beat it, but like I said, this is literally how the game opens. No spoilers here. We are just starting it out. Okay, so if you've seen a review before, you know that we have a list of categories that we go through, 1 through 10. 10 being awesome, 0 being the negative version of that, and add them up, dividing by the number, and that is our score. So, starting off, the marketing. I can quickly just give it a low score on marketing. I've never heard this game before.
The goblins there
I started playing it.
From being a minor nuisance to somehow being able to take down a highly fortified outpost.
On the back here it says,
on such short notice.
pick up parts and grow up to 3 stories tall. Which, like I said, is a very small part of the game. It's a main part of the
Where are they based?
game component,
and how can we remove the threat they pose?
but really has
immediately
nothing to do with anything else. Discover the truth behind the mysterious relic.
The Crags, huh?
And exciting 2-player cooperative. I didn't do the 2-player thing, and we'll get to the storyline in a moment. But otherwise, let's see, it's 1 to 2 players, 37 gigabytes of minimum HDD storage. I don't know what that means. DualShock controller and HD video output 1080p with remote play. It is E for fantasy violence, and it was made by... Who are the makers of this game?
It seems Ryder and Victor will be our expeditionary force. Yes, Doctor?
Before any final decision is made, I would like to show you all a little something I've been working on.
CERNY Games. Cerny.
Uncle!
Hey,
marketing. I haven't even heard of that company. I am going to give it a 3. I'm only even going to give it that high of one. Oops, I don't want to write on this paper. Because I see it a lot on the shelf.
Begin.
I probably wouldn't have bought it, except I did continuously keep seeing it. I don't know if that means this should get additional on the marketing, but...
Just go slow, little buddy.
Here's Knack.
You'll be fine.
The main character that you play as. Cute little guy. The graphics. Graphics and art are 2 separate things. The graphics that they chose to go with for this game are pretty modern, I guess. Obviously they're going for a little bit of a cartoon aesthetic. Like the people aren't people shaped, they're cartoon people shaped. But he's 3D, the world's cool, like, things are dirty and kind of realistic, to a degree. I would say the graphics that they used, work for what they're trying to do. It's not like, just because we have awesome graphics, you need to use the most awesomest of the graphics. But for this storyline, I think the graphics are a little minimal. For such a fantastical, fun world, they could have sharpened them up a little bit. How's that? How's that for that? So, a 7 is what we'll go. The art... See, this is why I have to say out loud that the graphics and the art are different, because I get them confused in my head as well. How they use the graphics in the storyline is pretty good. There are times when I was gonna say things look blocky, but now I think I've confused the two again. Like what I said about graphics should have been more towards art, but the like near the end of one of the levels and you're in a fighting scene, I was commenting about how beautiful and realistic the sky looks, but immediately in the foreground of that sky, the mountains look like they're triangles pasted together and attempted to make a 3D sculpturing. So in that case, I'm going to give the graphics a 6, and I will give the art the 7, because that is how that should be scored correctly. The storyline is all over the fucking place. It's, without spoilers, you are this guy who is found in a temple by this professor, and he is trying to prove to you, in this scenario right here, how important you as a relic is to society and how awesome you could be for the future. And you have a rival who is all about technology and just like, we can't use these relics of the past, we need to start using the technology of the future and make robots instead of relic robots. And that seems like it could have been a good premise, but then they just dropped that. I don't know where that goes. And it goes into some other storyline about how that professor that was all against this relic technology is trying to get into relic technology. He's like all of a sudden really into it and is like trying to open a door, and that's mainly the storyline, is him trying to open this door that you're also trying to get your hands on, the way to open the door. For good or bad, I guess. But it starts out one way and then goes a completely different way, and there's other storylines in there that also don't quite make sense. There's one lady that clearly is the source of a war happening, and she is clearly killing people, but there's no reprimands for that. She just is like there's no reprimands for anyone, I don't think. It's really bizarre world, but it is a fantasy world, so I don't know. We'll say 4 on that. I was even going to say 5, but I'm not confused, which is what 5 would be. It is a little bit painful to try and explain what the hell is going on. The length of time that this game took, I really appreciated the length of time. The individual chapters took too long. They're like an hour and 15 to 30 minutes long for the chapters, if you're like going through looking for secrets, trying to get everything. If you're running through, you could probably make it a decent like 45 minutes, and I think that's about the level I like in a chapter, depending on how much intensity is coming through. But by the time I was getting to an hour and a half, I was like, ooh, I'm done with this level. Can we just go on to the next thing, please? And I don't want to feel that way. So that's how the individual levels went. Otherwise, there were only 13 chapters, so maybe those chapters should have been split differently to make you feel like the chapters weren't so long, because the game itself isn't actually that long. So for that reason, I'd actually say maybe that one I am confused on, so I'll give it a 5. The long parts were painful, but the game in itself left me wanting more. That is confusing. The characters... I really like Knack, and he's the main character. Super cute and adorable here, although when he gets bigger, he's kind of a jackass, which I don't care for. Because it kind of just shows you, like, now that he's big and able to, like, beat things up, he gets some attitude about it, when he should know, out of anyone, the idea of perspective, and, like, even small people have the same, like, not the same use, but the same usefulness in a situation as a really, really big person. I mean, everyone has different advantages and disadvantages, is what I'm saying. But he just turns into an asshole when he gets big. Yeah, I guess there isn't many characters I liked. I don't like the professor that finds him. I don't like that one character I was talking about who just gets away with all of that craziness. There are maybe 2 people I liked in here. That's not many. Sometimes I don't mean to give these games like as bad of a review as they get, but when you break them down into these little things, it really makes you think about them, and you're like, oh gosh, this actually was more of a complaint than I thought it was. So as far as characters go, we'll say that they were time savers. No one was really awful. There were times where I wasn't sure whose agenda was going what, and I wasn't sure if that was part of the storyline, and I don't think it was. I think it was just bad acting, to be honest. So, time saver. They did what they needed to do. Get out of here. The gameplay in itself is kind of fun. It's easy and quick to learn. I think there was one move I probably never learned because I just forgot what combo it was to do it. But the combos were kind of important, so I just continuously used 2 of the 3 or 4 combos that I was taught at the beginning, and then and just rolled with those, and I was fine with that. It seemed to work me just fine. There's like a couple discrepancies in perspective or relation to like something being shot and the shadow it makes. Like, you more so want to watch out for the shadow of an item rather than the item itself, if that makes sense, in some cases. And that's probably more of an art problem, to be honest, or a graphics. See, I always get those 2 confused. It's more of a graphics problem. But otherwise, gameplay was, I think, pretty good. I'd give high scores on that. It was easy to pick up, and there weren't like, I didn't accidentally hit another button too many times, or at all, maybe. That might be your first high score. We'll give it a 9. I'd say 8, but I've given it such low scores already that a 9 might just be more generous. The difficulty. I played on easy, and there were times I was complaining it was too easy. So that's perfect. I guess I should have... I mean, beginner, I think, is what I played on. And it went from, like, beginner to maybe hard, extreme. I think there was 4 options. And I could definitely see where they could have made it harder, or how they do make it harder if you choose one of those other levels. Like, more guys, or more damage taken, less defense, or whatever. But Yeah, I think the level that I was on, easy, was definitely easy. So at least in that category of being easy, or that level of being easy, for this category, I will give it an 8. That will level out the other one. The control functions. This is separate from the gameplay, I guess, and control functions is probably more like if I accidentally hit a button. But I think I had a complaint in here, and I was waiting for it to get to control functions to say. I think it was the shadow thing of like how that worked. Control functions seem okay. There's like, it's one of those games where you can pick it up and it doesn't take you long to figure out what button does what and to just button smash that one. There weren't too many combo things. Like I said, I did forget what those combos were, but they weren't long combos either. It was like you push this button and then you push another button and something will happen. And so I probably could have figured out the combo if I would have just kept going at those 2 button situations, but the 2 combos I had found were enough to do what I needed to do, so I just never felt the need to look further. We will give that a 9 also, just because I'm so confusing on gameplay and control functions. The music. I enjoyed the music. It kept bringing me into Indiana Jones territory in my head, which I love Indiana Jones, so why not? I will give that a 9 as well. There we go. Now you're getting the good ones. The mood of the game. It's fun fantasy. I love that kind of stuff. Goblins, science. But so disappointing in, what's that C word? Consistency. Like, a lot of things didn't make sense, like I was saying before, and the storylines kind of just went wherever they wanted to, and we never... This isn't a spoils, because you just hopefully won't get disappointed. We never really figure out too much about Knack's Knackness. Yeah, so, I don't know. That one, the mood of the game, just left me wanting more, but in a disappointed more. So, I'm going to say a letdown on that. And, oh god, darn it, that complaint I was going to say, I never got to say it. It came up when I was talking, and it went away. And I know that I should take a point off of gameplay and or control functions for it, so I'm going to. But if I can remember it, I'll say it again. Oh, the lessons learned from this game. No lessons. It's a fantasy game that didn't even stick to its own fantasy plot lines, so take that as you will. I am going to give it a 1. If I had to, I could probably make something up, but I'm not gonna rack my brain over that one too much. The overall feeling for this game, which is just personal judgment, I guess is what the score indicates. I mean, although everything is kind of my personal judgment when I'm the one judging it personally. But the overall feeling for this game is maybe a good 8. Despite its really shoddy storyline and not good character development, there's still a fun, quirky quality to it, and the gameplay is easy enough for anyone to really pick up. Also, it gives you a fun perspective of being this little small guy and then turning into a giant thing that's like destroying buildings. That part is probably the funnest part, and I wish they would have been able to build more around that, which I think they tried to be fair. In every chapter, you more or less start out as a little guy and you have to build up to a version of a big guy. But yeah, I don't know. I will give that, what did I say, an 8? So I'll keep that as an 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Let me add these up real quick. For some reason I like to do it in my head, although that's probably not the best way. Ooh. I will not be doing the division part in my head, but we are almost there. Divided by 13. Not too bad of a score in comparison to my scores. This game, let me write it down, Knack, in the reviewed games scoring folder, gets a 6. 5.923. Honestly, that's not too bad. It's a time saver, and that does fit its category quite well. I would have maybe even said does the job at number 7, but yeah, around there. 6, 7. 6 is fine. I guess with all the complaints, it deserves to be on the lower half of that 6, 7 scale. Once again, that's just my review. That's just my personal preference on this game. And if you look at the other games on our channel of playlists that I've done, you'll see what kind of games I like, and you can judge from that my review. I actually do like fantasy games and do like these type of 3D games a lot, so it probably says more than it does that I gave it a 6. But I'm also a pretty picky point giver, so a 6 is on the upper half of a 1 through 10 scale, and I think 5 is an average game, so 6 is better than average. Hey there, write that on the back of your box. Better than average. Okay, well, thank you for watching me play, watching the review, either one, and or all of it, both. Or just using me to see if you even want to buy the game in itself, if you've never heard of it before. This is Tyro VA. Thank you for joining me. I hope this was helpful, and go out there and play a video game. I mean, I guess you wouldn't want to go out somewhere. I mean, you could go to the bar. They have video game bars now. Go there, go to like your local game store, and I don't know if it's safe to travel outside anymore. I don't know what the earth is like. Anyway, talking too much. See you later.